Hey there, so we're going to do one video for 2 days, and that's just because of how the way the notes are usually set up. So one thing I do want you to notice here is that there are 2 sections assigned. The first section doesn't have a presentation problem, so you can add in this 18 here. And then on Thursday, your presentation problem will be 20 from 8.3, 18 from 8.2. So pay attention to that. And we're going to talk about calculating with percentages. So get yourself ready for notes. There's a page that you're going to skip. That's totally fine. And we're going to get started with Chapter 8 here. So when you calculate with percentages, there are definitely problems that you don't need to use a formula for. You can, some of you will be able to say, oh, well, if this is 100% and this is 90%, I can do some neat tricks, which is absolutely great. Just like with the example from yesterday, you can use tricks. This is nice because this formula always works, and as you'll notice, it's a proportion. It's 2 equal fractions, which means that you can always solve it with cross multiplication. So you don't have to use this to solve every problem, but it will work to solve any problem. So, for example, it says in number 1, what percent of 162 is 90? So if you ever see the word of in a problem like this, what this means is that this is the total. This is the total amount. This is the 100%. Whoop, I wrote 10%. This is the 100%. So if you look at the equation here, the 100% and the total always go in the denominator together like this. And that's how you know that your proportion is going to work. And then the other number is going to be, as it says here, the other number. So in this case, if I'm going to use this proportion to solve, I'm going to say, all right, what percent, so that's my unknown, out of 100, because everything's always out of 100%, is equal to 90 out of 162. Now you can cross multiply, you can solve whichever one you want first. I'm going to cross multiply here. And so I get 162 x, so 162 times x, is equal to 90 times 100, so 90 and then 2 more zeros. Divide both sides by 162. So I'm going to bring it up here and say x is equal to 9,000 over 162. I recognize that these can be simplified because there's this nice trick that if I add the digits of a number together and it equals 9, it's divisible by 9. So 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So I can actually divide both of these by 9. And that trick also works with 3s. Those are the only 2 numbers that it works with, but it's a nice trick to know. And so what that tells us is that we then have 1,000 over 18, which is also divisible by 2. And our final answer is, you can either leave it as a fraction of 500 over 9%, or, which is what we're most used to, you could write this as a mixed number, 55 over and 5/9%, like that. Now, this is why it's important to pay attention to the reading of these numbers. And so in this case, in number 2, it says what percent is 162 out of 90? So in this case, 90 is the total. Some of you will always assume the largest number is the total. That's not always going to be the case. Things can have more than 100%. So for example, if I think about the height of a child, if the child is 4 feet tall one year and they are 4.5 feet tall the next year, they are more than 100% their original height. So we have more than 100% all the time. In this case, our total, so we still have unknown percent out of 100, because it's always out of 100, is equal to 162 out of 90. Because now 90 is the total, because it says of 90. We're still going to cross multiply. You could also just multiply both sides by 100 since x is in the numerator. And because they have 1 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator, it will cancel out. Cross multiplying works, but so does this. So you get 162 times 100 over 90. Divide by 90. Again, I'm going to divide by 9. Since that's the smallest we can divide by in the denominator. So then x is equal to 18 over 1. Oh, I made a mistake along the way. I forgot about this. So divide both sides by 9. And then I get 162 divided by 9, which is 18. And then the 0 right here. So it is 180%. Number 3, we can keep using this proportion. 36 is 4% of what number? So of what number? So we've got our of, which means that this is the total. Now notice that this means that the unknown is the total. So that means that your total is your variable. So in this case, 36 out of how much is 4% out of 100. Now here's one of those cases that you can cross multiply, but you could also say, oh, well, this is times 25, and this is times 25 then if we do the same thing to both sides. So we're going to keep them equal. It works either way. And so here, we can say that x is equal to 36 times 25, which is 900. So 36 is 4% of 900. Now, in number 4, we've got a word problem. In a school, 20% of students are in the 8th grade and 15% are new to the school. A, what percent of the school are new 8th graders? So what this is asking here is, what is 15% of 20? Because 8th graders are 20 out of the total and 15% of that. So of 20 means that 20 is our total. So 15 out of 100 for the percents is equal to our unknown out of our total 20. So what you'll notice here, again, the total is in the denominator, and then the percents are always together as well. So here we had our percents. I switched the sides here, but that's all right. We always want to keep our percents together and our totals together. And if we can do that, then we get a nice cross multiplying or solving problem. In this case, I'm just going to multiply both sides by 20 and simplify. Numerator and denominator, they cancel. 20 times 15 is 300 over 100, which means that 3% are new 8th graders. If there are 18 new 8th graders, how many students attend the school in total? So what this tells us here is that 3% is out of the 100, and there are 18 of them out of x. So this is again a situation where you could absolutely cross multiply, or you can say, all right, well, this is just times 6. Do the same thing to the numerator and denominator, times 6. So what that means is that x is equal to 600, which is the total number of students. So again, cross multiplying and solving works with these proportions, but so does using your skills that you maybe learned in other classes before this. If you're stuck on anything, please let me know. You have plenty of work time on Thursday to work through both problem sets. So if you feel like you want to take a break and come back to it, you're going to have a nice full day on Thursday to work through everything.